Welcome to Crushing Kayfabe. This is Jason Garrish, your host, and right now in Western Tennessee, we're recovering from the snowstorm that really didn't happen. We were supposed to get quite a few inches, possibly up to 6, which is a lot for Western Tennessee, and we got maybe an inch. A whole lot of rain, but not a whole lot of snow, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it. Would have liked to take my son whaling out in the snow, but plus my dog Eddie loves the snow, and so it would have been nice to have him out running around in the snow. But yeah, we got a little bit, just a little bit, maybe an inch or so, if that. Mostly, like I said, a lot of rain, a little bit of ice, a little bit of sleet. The only thing that worries me now is we're gonna hover right around the freezing temperature, so it's going to melt, freeze. So we're going to have some black ice for a little while. The rain was enough, unfortunately, to cut out my power a couple of times, which sucked because it happened exactly during the Raiders game, which I wasn't real appreciative of. But hey, that's life. Unfortunately, the Raiders lost to the Bengals. I'm still really proud of what they've accomplished this season, though, I should say, looking at just what they've had to go through, and a lot of other teams would have folded. So, it's nice to see them get to the playoffs first time since 2016. And, they played the heart out, made some real crucial mistakes. That offensive line needs work, unfortunately. Holding calls when the timing was not appropriate. Not that it's appropriate at any time, but holding calls really hurt us, especially getting down to red zone, then getting pushed back and whatnot. It really will shoot you in the foot, unfortunately, kind of. But looking at at what that team has had to endure, I don't fault any of those guys, and I applaud them. It was a great effort, and like I said, a lot of other lesser teams would have folded. I'm not sure how I feel about Rich Bisaccia as becoming the head coach. And right now he's the interim. I don't know if they're going to remove that title, if they're going to go after a big name like Jim Harbaugh or somebody like that. But the players love the guy, and he did hold the team together. I think Derek Carr had a huge influence on that, too, because he's such an even-keeled guy. Almost too much sometimes, because you want to see him step up his game in certain situations, but it seems like he just isn't affected by anything. He just keeps going. But yeah, and I don't really fault him for that interception at the end. The guy threw for over 300 yards, but he's not the only one on the team, so you can't really fault him for that. But yeah, we got to keep the penalties down. Got to work on that, definitely. And defense really could have done a better job at holding that passing game. Although Joe Burrow really shined. He really shone then in that game and showed that he's going to be a real big future superstar. So shout out to them. Shout out to Raiders and Raider Nation. And was a close game, but hey. Obviously we had the controversial call, but excuse me, I'm not going to blame a loss on a ref. I just refuse to do that, because if you're that close, then a ref call could go either way, and that's just life in the NFL. So I don't fault the referees. Wow, for that loss at all. I just applaud everyone for their effort, and hope that we'll be back in the playoffs next year. Whether or not Bisaccia is going to be the head coach, I don't know. I do like this coaching staff. I like a lot of the calls Greg Olsen makes on offense, although he did make some questionable calls in the game. But I kind of want to see him stay, just so that the offense has some consistency. Same thing with Gus Bradley. Man, did he turn this defense around? And Cable's been great on the offensive line and whatnot. So yeah, there's some really good components in place. Let's see what Mark Davis decides as far as Bisaccia's future, and see if he retains him as a head coach. I kind of feel like he might go that route of looking for a superstar head coach, because there are a lot of good head coaches floating around right now. So kind of take your pick. I kind of hope they don't go after Flores. I mean, after his comments about regarding Tua and whatnot. So I'm kind of hoping they don't go that route, but I'd like to see some consistency and some stabilization come to effect, and I think Bisaccia kind of brought that. I don't know how he is, from a strategic standpoint, but from a personnel standpoint, he seems to be on point. So maybe he's the route to go, at least for another season. See if we can he can take us back to the playoffs, hopefully. But hey, enough about football. Let's talk about some wrestling. Right after our massive non-existent snowstorm, I had the chance to watch NWA Powerrr for the first time in a long time, because my wife and I used to watch this every week, and then it went exclusively to Fight TV, and we don't have the money to be able to pay for things like that, unfortunately, right now. So we went a while without watching NWA, but I was happy to see that pop up in my notifications screen for YouTube. So I'm real excited about watching that on a weekly basis. That was something we enjoyed on a weekly basis. It was a nice throwback. Plus, an hour-long show is easy to digest. It's easy to follow. There's a lot more kind of promo-driven, obviously, because there's studio set up. But it was kind of nice to see that. That was their first episode back on YouTube from Fight TV, which was a really cool thing. Like I said, it was nice to see some of the guys I hadn't seen in a long time, like JTG and Fandango, going as Dirty Dango now. It was really cool. An opening match with the women's match. One wrestler really stood out to me, which I'd never seen her before. Was Genocide. She seemed to take on that big girl role as an enforcer, kind of cool. So I kind of enjoyed watching her. Throughout the broadcast, though, I did kind of start to get a little bit annoyed with Velvet Sky's color commentary. I like Velvet Sky. I'm a fan, but I'm not sure if that's the right role for her, because Austin Idol, who was really good on color commentary, surprised me. I never heard him do color commentary before, I don't think. But him on there with was it Joe Galley as the play-by-play, who was pretty good. He's a pretty good play-by-play guy. Doesn't get in the way of the moves, knows the moves, and just kind of steps out of the way of Austin Idol, which he was really good. But his interactions with Velvet Sky kind of got annoying after a while, to tell you the truth. Like I said, I'm a Velvet Sky fan. I like her. She's a Connecticut homegirl, so I enjoy her. But I'm not sure that's a role for her, because she almost felt like she got lost a few times in talking to Idol. It was kind of had some awkward exchanges. So I don't know if Idol's done commentary on there before. Like I said, I haven't been following the Fight TV stuff because we didn't want another streaming service to pay for, and we couldn't afford another streaming service to pay for. So I don't know if how that whole thing has been going on. I read that Tim Storm was doing color commentary for a while, which that would have been interesting. I would have liked to have heard that. It's kind of nice, though, having like an Austin Idol who plays the heel color commentary in there, and the guy can obviously talk. He's a great talker, so it was good to hear him. Just like I said, Velvet kind of got lost in the shuffle with that, and felt kind of awkward with the exchanges between the two. She played the role of a babyface color commentary fairly well, but I think it was her interactions with Austin Ellis. It seemed like she got caught off guard a little bit, and maybe she even would benefit from a heel role as a color commentary, because some of her best work, like with the Beautiful People in Impact Wrestling, was as a heel. So maybe that's the way to go with her. I just that was the one thing about the commentary that kind of felt awkward enforced to me. But maybe she'll get better. Maybe she'll grow into the role. I don't know. I know she's been doing color commentary on there, but I don't believe that she had been teamed up with that particular team with Gally and the Idol. I think it was Gally and Tim Storm and her before. So I'd have to hear how that went to kind of judge how this went. but that's one thing that kind of stood out to me. I like I say, some old faces kind of surprised me. I forgot that Chris Masters, a.k.a. was it Chris Adonis now, I think, showed up. Guy looks great as usual. And one guy that didn't look so great was Tyrus. Man, I don't know what's going on with him, but I mean, he's great on the mic. I love watching him on Fox, but his in-ring work kind of looked a little sloppy. I'm not sure what's going on there, and he didn't look well, so I don't know if he's in his greatest shape. It's been a long time since I've seen him wrestle, so I don't know if is that the norm for him or kind of thing. I was one of the things always kind of I enjoyed about his work was the fact that he was a big guy who was energetic and pretty agile, kind of like along the lines of like a Bam Bam Bigelow, but he didn't display that, and I don't know if that's part of his persona now because he's playing the monster heel role. Maybe that's leading him to work a different style. I mean, because I know a lot of guys when they go to that persona will work in a very methodical, very slowly paced manner, and I'm wondering if that's his goal, if that's what he's aiming for, but he just didn't. He looked off in that entire match, so I don't know what's going on with him, but I really dig Tyrus. I'm hoping that was just a fluke or if that's part of an angle. You know, one thing, another thing, man, that really annoyed me about the show was Mae Valentine's interview segments in between each match. That I'm not feeling that. I'm sorry. She needs to go, or she needs to go into a different role. That I was not feeling at all, to tell you the truth. Yeah, I'm enough said on that. Those once again getting back to the feeling forced and not very good. I didn't like her in the role of an interview segment person like that. That kind of got on my nerves after a while. I noticed I was watching the Anthony Mayweather match. I was like, wow. It took me like almost a full minute before I looked and go, that's Crimson, because I haven't watched him since his Impact days, his TNA Impact days. So that really was kind of a refreshing thing to see. That in addition to getting to see James Mitchell. God, like I said, a lot of people I haven't seen in quite a while. And his wrestler he has out there, that monster heel. I was kind of enjoying his work. That was pretty cool. I can't for the life of me remember his name right now, but he worked that role really well and paired off with James Mitchell. That I think that was a good combination, and the two of them worked well together. It was pretty much a squash match that he participated in. So that was a nice change of pace to see him. I haven't seen him in quite some time, but like I said, I haven't been following the NWA product, so that was interesting. Of course, one of my wife's favorite wrestlers, I should say, Aaron Stevens, mine too. I think the guy's great. Was awesome as usual. That was good to see him on there. Man, can that guy cut an entertaining promo? He is great. I was real happy to see that he had stayed with the company during this whole pandemic and whatnot. That was refreshing because he is always entertaining. He was always great. I wanted to see how well he'd do too without Josephus, who unfortunately passed last year, and the two of them were a great comedic duo together, and rest in peace, The Question, aka Josephus. But Aaron Stevens is carrying on being awesome as usual, so it was really cool to watch him. I hope they bring more of him onto the show. That was one of the things that interested me the most with NWA. I wanted to see how they would rebound following the loss of some of their bigger stars. Guys like James Storm, who went to Impact, Thunder Rosa, who went to AEW. I've been watching her every week. My wife and I were big fans of hers in NWA, so it was really cool to see her show up on AEW. LA Knight, who used to be Eli Drake, is gone. Once again, like we were saying, the Question, a.k.a. Josephus, unfortunately passed last year, and he was a big part of the show, too. Eddie Kingston, who was a huge reason for me to watch NWA, because he brought a lot of reality to the show, realism. I see that they still have Homicide, and I think he's a backstage producer, if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, I really wanted to see how they would rebound from those losses and come back. I mean, overall, it was an entertaining show. Once again, Aaron Stevens and some familiar faces, seeing some familiar faces on the show helped carry things through. The team up with the JTTG and Dango is pretty interesting. I like those guys. Yeah, wow. JTG. I don't know why that's giving me such problems. Look jacked. Holy cow, does he look jacked now? But both those guys look good. They're both good wrestlers, and it even looked like JTG had improved a little bit of his in-ring work, and he looked like he put on some weight, so some muscle weight, which was really cool. The guy looked like $1 million. I'm kind of surprised WWE hasn't tried to snatch him back up, but that was good to see in those two guys. But some of the losses did kind of show through, because, like I said, some of my favorite guys like James Storm, Eli Drake, obviously weren't there, Eddie Kingston. So those are some holes right there they need to fill, and hopefully they will with maybe some indie talent, or maybe they'll pick up some ROH guys. I know Billy Corgan wanted to go kind of the opposite direction of the Ring of Honor thing, and wanted to try to build a promotion with some bigger guys. He wanted to kind of get away from the indie wrestling thing and go to more traditional kind of big guys. I mean, if you look at who their champions have been, that kind of shows through. And right now, with Trevor Murdoch being the champion, man, is he a throwback? Wow, is he a throwback to the old NWA days? I didn't think they'd take the belt off of Aldis. And speaking of Aldis, there's several rumors going around right now that he might be showing up at the Royal Rumble. I don't know if that's true or not. That'd be real interesting to see. I don't know if they worked out something with with Mickie going in. I think the whole Mickie James thing is kind of an apology to her, because of the way that she was treated on her departure was really disrespectful, with the whole garbage bag thing, where they basically handed her belongings in a garbage bag. So it's really cool to see Mickie James mend fences, and she's going to be in the Royal Rumble. I'm really looking forward to that, especially since she's the TNA / Impact Women's Champion right now, which that should be really cool. It'll be interesting to see, too, if they bring in like a Jordan Grace or somebody like that from Impact, but I doubt that. I think the whole Mickie James angle is more of an apology, if anything else, to her. But yeah, I wonder if Aldis does end up being part of that package. That would be really cool. I'd love to see him in a Rumble, but I know there is some backstage heat with him and some of the higher ups within the organization. So I don't know if we'll see that, but that rumor is floating around. There are a bunch of rumors floating around for the surprise Royal Rumble's entrance. I I'm looking forward to seeing it. I want to see the Rumble. It's something I've watched almost every year, and I think we should have some really cool surprise entrants. I know they've announced a few on the women's side, which Mickey was the biggest deal, and Michelle McCool's come back in too, but yeah, I think they're also unfortunately bringing back like the Bellas and whatnot. So, but still, it should be a very interesting show, and I'm looking forward to it. But aside from all that stuff, my first impressions of the NWA Powerrr on YouTube, which it was cool to see it back. I'm hoping that they work on it a little bit. There were certain things on there that did look a little indie-ish. Came off a little wonky, and I don't know if that's something they have to iron out now, but you'd think they'd have those things ironed out with being on YouTube and then Fight and now back to YouTube. You would think they'd have some of those things ironed out. And I understand that they're going for an old school feel to it, but that doesn't mean you can't produce a slickly produced product. And with an hour a week, that gives them a lot of footage that they can edit down to, and a lot of time they can play with. So hopefully they'll shore all the things they need to up, because some of the things did look a little sloppy, I have to admit, and production wise, camera angles, directing, some of those things didn't come off great. Some of the things I liked a lot. Some of the things, like they had one camera angle which was down from below, looking up into the ring post up, which actually looked kind of cool. It gave kind of a bigger than life kind of feel to the whole thing, and I'd like to see like AEW or somebody kind of take that a little bit further. But they're, for the most part though, yeah, I think they need to tighten up some things there, but I'm sure they will. And they need to acquire some bigger names, I think, because it did fall a little bit flat in certain areas, but still overall, I'm going to give it a chance, and I'm going to continue watching it every week. Hopefully they make a couple adjustments, and I think it'll be just as good as the NWA was before the pandemic. Maybe they can get back some of those guys they lost. I'd like to see a James Storm back on my television. That would be cool. Since I don't watch Impact, but it was good to see some old faces. Good to see NWA back on TV, quote unquote. But and one other thing, I kind of missed the, I'm an old school Dawkins fan, so I kind of missed the Back into the Fire, I should say, theme song. But the new one they have, what is it? When Our Shadows Fall, I think, which had I was listening to it, I was like, wow, the guitar sounds familiar, and sure enough, it was Michelangelo Badio being featured on guitar, so I recognized that. I like their theme song, and the intro and outro is pretty good. I like it. The quick cuts are good. It's edited well, and it does, in combination with the music, it does kind of hype you up a little bit, and it still retains an old school feel with a little bit of a new school kind of feel introduced to it, which is really cool. I mean, I know Into the Fire was huge when I heard that on the initial premiere of the whole NWA Powerrr, which they eventually went to Pantera Broken, which for some reason, just as much as I love Pantera, it didn't fit with the show, and it felt kind of weird having that, and then they went back into the Fire kind of thing, which now the new one fits. I like it. I'm not sure if they were trying to bring NWA kind of up through the decades kind of thing, 80s, 90s, and then eventually get into the 2000s. I know Billy Corgan has a 5-year plan, which he's supposedly instituting. I don't know how much the pandemic affected that, because that kind of threw everybody's 5-year plan out the window. But it'll be interesting. I'm happy to have NWA back on YouTube where it belongs and not having to pay for it. Well, that kind of looks like about as much time as they have right now. Before I go, though, I'd like to promote Then and Now Flea Market in Trenton, Tennessee. Just right in downtown Trenton, Tennessee. You can go there. You can purchase some of my some of my CDs. You can purchase some beautifully crafted, handcrafted items that my wife has made, and a whole lot of other things from different vendors. So Then and Now Flea Market in downtown Trenton. Tell them Kayfabe, Crushing Kayfabe sent you. And I'd also like to promote Lucky Lady Candles, which you can find them on Facebook, or you can find them on Etsy. I've purchased their products in the past. It's some real good candles. And you got Valentine's Day is coming up, so now's the time to start putting in those orders for candles. You know, get some great scented candles, some handmade candles, and you know, use those on Valentine's Day. It'll be great. But yeah, once again, check us out on Patreon. We now have a page up on Patreon. So search for Crushing Kayfabe, Crushing with a K. And for $1 a month, you can get ad-free audio. So as opposed to Spotify, which will randomly insert ads, you can get ad-free audio on Patreon and become a patron and help the show out, you know, for as little as $1 a month. All right. So in addition to that, crushingkayfabe.com. Check us out there. Once again, Crushing with a K. So crushingkayfabe.com. Check us out there. And we have links to all of our social media on that. So check us out on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Also have a YouTube channel where you can, if you don't have access to Spotify or Google Podcasts for whatever reason, you can check us out on YouTube. So no excuse not to listen. But yeah, check us out on our various media sites, our social media sites, and also you can check out my personal page, which is jaygerr.com, 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 and on that you can listen to some of my music, you can watch some of my videos, and you can purchase some merchandise on there too. So jaygerr.com. So hey, thank you for tuning in to Crushing Kayfabe. Everybody be safe out there, you know, be careful, and God bless.